All right, guys, part two. In the first video, you learned about degrees, and the degrees were kind of like this. Boom. Okay, now in this video, you're going to learn about radians. All right, beautiful, beautiful radians. Okay, so a radian is simply a different unit of measurement. For example, think of inches and centimeters, different units. All right, but they're both used to measure. So we can also measure our angles in radians. All right, 0 degrees is the same as 0 radians. All right, so let's establish that. And because we understand that the circumference of a circle is equal to 2 times pi times the radius, we're going to think about a radian, and we're going to think about a circle as containing a total of 2 pi radians. So you remember that 360 is at the same location as 0? Well, then we're also going to establish that if that can be called 360, we can also call it 2 pi. So 360 and 2 pi are the same, just like 0 and 0 are the same. So if 360 and 2 pi radians are the same, then that must mean that 180 is equivalent to pi radians. All right, so a 180-degree turn is the same as a pi turn. All right, a 360-degree turn is the same as a 2 pi turn. All right, so 2 pi is 360, 1 pi is 180. We can see the relationship right there, cutting it in half. All right, and the rest really continues with fractions. All right, I'm going to think about the ratio of these when I compare them to 180, but I will say that 180 being equal to pi is the most important relationship that you have right here. All right, everything else is understandable because 180 and pi are the same. So if 180 degrees is pi radians, then 90 degrees should be half of that. So 90 degrees will be known as pi radians cut in half. In other words, pi over 2. That's how you're going to see it written. All right, then I'm going to think about the next half. So the next half of, half of 90 would be 45. So half of a half is a quarter. In other words, this is pi cut into quarter pieces. All right, this is pi over 4. I'm also going to think about 30 degrees. 90 and 30 have a relationship of 30 being a third of 90, or 90 being 3 times as much as 30. So a third of 1/2 is a sixth. All right, so this is pi over 6. You can also think of it as, well, if pi is 180, isn't 30 degrees 1/6 of the way to 180? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 180 is actually cut into 6. Now we have a bunch of radians. This is pi over 6 radians. This is pi over 4 radians. This would be 2 pi over 6 radians, which we're going to simplify to pi over 3 radians. This is 3 pi over 6 radians. Notice how I'm counting by pi over 6, just like with degrees, I counted by 30. So if this is 3 pi over 6, well, that's 1 pi over 2. This is going to be 4 pi over 6. 120 is 4 pi over 6, which I simplify to 2 pi over 3, which also makes sense because 120 is twice of 60. So twice pi over 3. I was at 4 pi over 6, which makes this guy, not this guy, I skipped that guy. This guy must be 5 pi over 6, or 5/6 of the pi. And 180 should be 6 pieces of the pi, 6 out of 6 pi pieces. All right, which makes 210 7 pi over 6. 240 will be 8 pi over 6, or simplified to 4 pi over 3. 270 will be 9 pi over 6, or more simply put, 3 pi over 2. You must simplify these. 300 degrees will be 10 pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 3. And 330 will be 11 pi over 6, which cannot be simplified. It's just 11 pi over 6. Now, all that remains, once again, are my 45-degree angles. So I noticed that 45 degrees is pi over 4, which makes 92 pi over 4. 135 is now 3 pi over 4, or 3/4 of a pi. 180 is 4 pi over 4. And then 225, which I didn't write right there, is going to be 5 pi over 4. All right, 5/4 of a pi. All right, 6 pi over 4 I've already written as 3 pi over 2. And then 7 pi over 4 is 315 degrees. All right, in other words, 7 out of 4 pieces. And then 8 pi over 4 is the same as saying 2 pi, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that is an extremely quick description of radians. It doesn't go all into depth, but the important thing is to notice patterns. If you know your multiples for your degrees, then you should also think of radians as multiples. Think of them as multiples of 1/6 and multiples of 1/4, and you'll get every single one of the 16 key points.